Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, April 12th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about the tool of charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here is going to be changing, and the candlestick you see right there will be still moving around. That is because the market's open for a small amount of time still, and I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, GCTK, big mover today, and now a very, very nice pattern. And you got to think a lot of people have noticed this pattern. So I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply that I have some sort of special skill. The exact opposite. Like I said, I think a lot of people have noticed this. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same patterns, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very nice price movement. So the first part of the pattern would be up here, this area of resistance. So in my mind, a lot of people have drawn that trend line right there. Very basic, very straightforward. And then the next part of the pattern being this area across here as a level of support right there at $2.80. So let me change that to green to represent more so a support dynamic of the pattern. And then to maybe make this easier to see, so you longer time viewers, you know I got to keep things the same color. So again, we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big explosive move right there. And for you golfers out there, let's make it a little bit more visual. Put the golf hole down here. This would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So again, no such thing as a guarantee, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price were to come up to the top part of the pattern and get a break up through it right there, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible outcome. So if you like to play this price range, if you like bull pennant patterns, keep an eye on it. Next one here, PLXP, same general idea, just on a penny stock. So it's not going to be the same exact pattern, obviously, but I mean, very, very similar idea. So again, you got to think a lot of people have drawn that trend line right there. I guess I didn't need to make it that long. And then at the same time, a lot of people notice that this little consolidation area there seems to have a support down there around the 38-cent mark. So once again, get that changed to green. And like I said, I'm just going through this one quicker because you just heard me say this, so I want to respect your time as much as possible. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the explosive move right there, we have the golf hole down here. So we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. The biggest difference here being for you penny stock players that like to play penny stocks, here you go. Next one, BOIL, which has been all over the place the past few days, and I'm sure for those of you that like the volatility, you're not complaining at all. So much so that, I mean, when you stop and think about the fact that on Thursday, because remember the markets were closed on Friday, but Thursday the price closed all the way down there, and then it opened up today all the way up here before even making another move in the upwards direction. So that in of itself shows how big of a move it was. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of a couple of these lines here. And that level down there served its purpose. But the first key update is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward now, this area goes right back to being that former area of support right there at 325. And I say former area of support because if you go back here and look at the history of things, you can see right there, acted as support, and then a whole bunch of times right here. So potentially maybe some sort of head and shoulders type pattern with this being the now, officially kind of the right shoulder of things. So keep an eye on that. I think that would be the neckline. I'm terrible with head and shoulder patterns. I'll be the first to admit that. They've never quite clicked in my mind. So in the comment section, would this be the shoulder or the neckline? It's one of the two, but let me know in the comment section. Like I said, cup and handle, flags, pennants, also wedges. I get all those, but the whole head and shoulder has always gotten me. But anyway, so 325 is either going to be a shoulder or a neckline, or you know what? Let's just call it a support level. There we go. So keep an eye on that as a support level if it pulls back. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, main level stands out to me is twofold. First level right here at $3 and basically 60 cents. You can see former area of support and then resistance today. But even if that level is broken, you want to be careful and not get too excited because not that far away is the next area of resistance, that pink line up there, 200 period moving average at 373. Next one, ARVL, and there's no doubt about it. This is a very ugly looking chart. I mean, you stop and think about it, that the price gapped up. Price came all the way up there, and true story, there were some poor souls that were buying there, and then from there has just dropped and dropped and dropped. But you longer time viewers, you know what I'm going to say next. Sure, it's ugly, but there can be opportunity in the ugly. Now this, of course, I mean, you should be disciplined regardless of your strategy, but these sorts of strategies and sorts of setups, you better be disciplined. You better be able to honor a stop loss. But from a risk-reward standpoint, you can really structure yourself. Let's get rid of that. Some very, very solid potential trade plans. So the dynamic here that's very interesting is this former breakout point, which essentially is also, so just establish that real quick. Former breakout point right here, you can see was the top part of this little sideways channel, but now it's also that purple line too, where the price actually bounced off of the 50-period moving average. So you kind of have a double whammy of support. Now, I wish I could say trading was as easy that because you have a double whammy, price for sure guaranteed going to bounce. There are no guarantees. But is it valid? Is it plausible to think so? So yes, if you want to try to play some sort of pullback where you think that it could find some support and then get a bounce, that would be a situation where, even if you don't get a full-blown reversal, but kind of a bounce relative to what's being risked, you could still be looking at a very valid trade plan. So if you like to play these sorts of, kind of their opportunity in the ugly, keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMC had a very good day on Thursday, and then today just continued on working at what it had been. This will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from Thursday. Again, markets were closed on Friday, but this level here was that area of resistance, but you can see today got a good solid break of that level, so that now becomes our newest area of support. Resistances, when they're broken, as I've mentioned, tend to act as support, which puts the support now level down. They're right around $5, give or take. So keep an eye on that. If there is any sort of pullback, $5 would be the ideal level you want to see the price stay above. But as far as next potential areas of resistance, as you're seeing here, been a while since the price has been up this high. So this level right here, let's just call it $5.35. Going to be a very important level. It was essentially the highs from here, and then the power of charts once again finding some problems there. But going back to the talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies, you got to think a lot of people have noticed that level. So like I said, no guarantees, but is it plausible if the price comes up there and breaks, that break, just because it's a key level that a lot of people are watching, could in and of itself create more buying pressure? That's certainly a plausible potential outcome. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here in several days. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency to manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live training. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right on the webpage, or if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link right down in the description box that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Next one, TRKA, very, very impressive move after a pretty rough Thursday. Price broke out on Thursday, acted like it wanted to break out, and then just completely collapsed all the way down here. But to be fair, the price, you can see, respected that purple line, which I've talked about before, that 50-period moving average. Bounce from there, bounce from there. Now, did anybody necessarily see that big of a bounce? I mean, I didn't. I mean, maybe other people did. I definitely did not. But point being, price is now back above that area of resistance at 26, meaning this officially now can be considered an area of support moving forward. So, best case scenario, what's going to make this chart look the healthiest moving forward is definitely if the price can stay above 26 cents. And as of right now, it's not even close. But like I said, from an overall standpoint, keep an eye on that. In terms of areas of resistance, this level right here at 29 cents is going to be that key battleground point. You can see it was a former high right there. And then once, twice, three times again. Good news is the price is right below it. So it makes it a very valid question to be saying, okay, maybe tomorrow's the day. Maybe Tuesday is the day where the breakout finally happens. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's for sure going to happen, but it certainly makes it at least a plausible and exciting question to throw out there, so keep an eye on it. Next one here, JFBR. I like this one quite a bit because it has just very well-defined levels. So once again, you can use that self-fulfilling prophecy language if you want. But first key level that you got to think a lot of people are watching just because of the track record today, right down there around $1.23. You can see a couple times this morning. Price came down, found a bid. Later on in the afternoon, came down, slightly broke below it, but that didn't last very long. Then once again, the price found a bid and got the bounce back upwards. So you can keep an eye on that from a support standpoint. And then just from the breakout standpoint, again, very well-defined level right up there. And let's just call it the $1.40 mark. So nothing guaranteed, of course, but very valid to think that this thing chops around a little bit and then potentially comes back up here, curls up through that level, that break in and of itself could, cause those people that like to play gap ups, then have a pullback and higher consolidation to potentially, play off of their momentum that they would be buying. But like I said, any way you want to look at it, very well-defined level. So whether you're a breakout player or a pullback player or what have you, definitely some good choices either direction. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, which now I should say this green line that I talked about on Thursday is important at the 184 mark, but it goes to show just how strong today was because, the price broke down below that level, get open there, dropped. At that point, opening 30 minutes, price was so far below that level, but not only did the price get back up to that green line level, it actually got above it and has now stayed above it. Now, granted, it's sitting right there, but a very interesting dynamic here because you have now this 184 mark as a key level of support, and then you also have not that far away this 50-period moving average. And you got to think some people are probably just using this as a trend line, and they're doing something like this, doing something like this, and then drawing the move right there and saying, all right, Tesla's got a little bull pennant pattern here. Now you want to be careful with the bull pennant because it is occurring within a downwards context. So would I call this the most attractive bull pennant that I've ever seen? I would not call it that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you do definitely have some people probably watching that, rightfully so, wondering, can this bull pennant generate another breakout and then potentially bring the price up to that pink line, 200-period moving average up there right around 191? All valid thoughts. But you're also going to have people, myself included, wondering, I don't know if I really believe in this bull pennant. I could see this thing potentially cracking back to the downside and not necessarily retesting the lows, but even if it goes halfway down there, you could be looking at some very interesting trade plan from a risk-reward scenario. But overall, very impressive bounce on Tesla, so we'll see if it continues into Tuesday. Same general idea here on Tesla. This one is AMD, meaning started off rough, gap down, and then not only recovered from the gap down, but went all the way up here. So, just the day, granted, a lot of, tech stocks did that, but along the same lines as was I think JFBR with the very well-defined levels. We have that here with our moving averages. So the level that you got to think a lot of people are watching from a resistance standpoint is that good old-fashioned, good old famous 200-period moving average right there at 96.10. And then for those people that like to play pullbacks, you can see that already the purple line, again, 50-period moving average at, let's call it 93.74, has already held once and twice. Does that mean it'll hold again? Of course not, but could somebody call you crazy to think that it could hold? No, absolutely not, because you have data, you have evidence that it's held in the past. So like I said, from a very straightforward standpoint in terms of well-defined levels, AMD is providing that via the moving averages. But you also just, setting those things aside, you got to give credit where credit's due. Very, very impressive bounce. So it's just a question of, is this little pullback here a pause before it continues on up to potentially make another move up towards the $100 mark? Let's see what the week brings. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe that the NASDAQ as a whole is going to rise in value, this one will also rise in value. It just allows people access at a much lower price point, which makes it a very, very popular ETF out there. And kind of a weird looking chart. Not really, but I guess what I'm trying to get across is I'm having a case of deja vu, because not that long ago we had an upwards bounce, and all of a sudden the next day we have the exact same almost upwards bounce. So I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes but it just seems like almost a mirror image in some senses, because both levels bounce off essentially the same level. Both levels essentially are at the same high. Now, of course, not exactly, but, broadly, we'll call it a brokenish mirror image of each other. But yeah, a very interesting chart. But given we have our data points now, it's become very, very clear that the key level of support now is right at about $26 and let's call it 15 cents, which is also essentially the value of the pink line there. But you can see bounce from there a couple times this morning, and now you have that moving average at that same level at, give or take right around that same general area. So pointer being is, if it does come back down, I'd be very skeptical of anything until the price can actually break from a bearish side of things, that is, before, unless the price can break through that level and that 200-period moving average. But yes, definitely a very well-defined level down there. And then, yeah, you still have this overarching level, which I'm going to leave in play here up around the 28.35-ish mark. But what I'm now interested in is, did I get it? Yeah, there we go. There is this trend line here that's now starting to make itself apparent. So you got to think that a lot of people are probably watching that. So definitely curious on how the price behaves in regards to that. But like I said, mirror image almost of Thursday. But does the difference finally be this thing gets the break to the upside? Let's see what Tuesday has to offer. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live class. Like I said, it'll be in several days on Thursday, April 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching tomorrow. Those two things help out the algorithm. They help out the channel, and they communicate to me that you enjoy. And as long as I know that you as viewers are enjoying, I'll continue to put in the time and effort required to get this content out to you. So everybody, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one.